What is going on, guys? So in today's video, I will be comparing the M2 Air versus the newly released MacBook Pro 14-inch M2 Pro. It's a mouthful to say, but you know what else is a mouthful to say? Our sponsor for today, nobody. So right out the gate, why is this video being made? Why am I comparing a workhorse machine versus a device that's designed for everyday tasks? Let me tell you something. Apple customers have money. It's no secret. Or maybe they don't have money, but the more expensive Apple product they have, the better they feel about themselves. Like people who own the $800 Apple Watch for the sake of a bigger battery. Anyway, this is to show you why maybe picking up the Air is better for you, or you may discover that the MacBook Pro is actually a device that you need. It's very important to keep that in mind. Do you actually need the Pro, or do you want the Pro? Anyway, I'm gonna have an M1 Pro versus an M2 Pro video coming out soon because that's probably what most people are going to watch, but this video might shock you. First, we need to address the biggest difference between these two machines, and that is the price. So the Air in the US starts off at $1,200 and the Pro starts off at a whopping $2,000. It's going to be about $200 each to upgrade the storage and the memory. Now, at that price point, I'd say you might as well pick up a refurbished M1 MacBook Pro machine. Video over, right? Thanks for watching. Well, no. This video is still for people who are curious enough to know what the differences are, since this is the second generation of the M series, or maybe you just like watching my videos. Thanks. All right, let's start off with build quality and design. So the MacBook Air comes in 4 colors, whereas the Pro only comes in space gray and silver. We have one of the colors right here that is unique, and that is Midnight, which is kind of like a deep abyss blue. And then we have the goldish silver Starlight, which I think Apple should bring to all their laptops. But do keep in mind that the thickness and weight of the Pro make it feel like an actual laptop, with the Air feeling more like a tablet when you hold it in your hand, simply for the fact of how thin and light it is. Now, when it comes to build quality on these machines, they're top of their class, but I would say the Pro feels a little bit more robust, simply from the fact of how thick this chassis is. Now, let's talk about the ports. We have 2 Thunderbolt ports, MagSafe, and a headphone jack on the Air, and then we have 2 Thunderbolt ports, HDMI, and an SD card slot, and then another Thunderbolt port and headphone jack. Thunderbolt is great because that basically means you can have any port that you want, and people love to talk about this SD card slot, but I would argue that the HDMI is going to bring more value to people because HDMI is still commonly used, and that addition of this port makes life that much easier. However, with Thunderbolt, you can pretty much have any port that you want. Now, let's move over to the display, because at first glance, they may look similar, but when you start using them, you'll notice that the Pro is more snappier, sharper, and with a much brighter display. And we can thank Apple for that because of their XDR display on their $5,000 product is now built into the Pro, with many LEDs giving us near OLED blacks, but bright enough to pack a punch with HDR movies and workflows. The Pro, without a doubt, is a better display than the Air. Couple that in with ProMotion with 120 Hz, making it a lot easier on the eyes, whereas the Air is capped at 60 Hz. If I had to pick between the two, I would definitely pick the Pro simply for the display. I'll move over quickly on this next part about the trackpad and keyboard. So the trackpad is slightly bigger on the Pro, but not enough to notice that much of a difference. The keyboards are nearly identical, with the Pro coming in this all black design here. Now, in terms of functionality and the keys that you get, they are the same on both machines, even down to the Touch IDs. I should also point out that the branding is gone on both the insides of the laptop, so there really is nothing here other than the displays. Now, since we have both laptops open, I should go ahead and segue into the speakers. Now, MacBook speakers are pretty much better than any Windows laptop speakers, but the MacBook Air is still, I would say, better than most laptops that you're going to come across. However, the Pro is able to kick it up a notch, giving us more clarity and richness. That could be thanks to the open grills that we have on the MacBook Pro. And if you're looking for crisp music, or I should say if you're trying to hear crisp music or audio, both won't disappoint, but the Pro just has more fullness and bass. Take a listen. Now, since we have a Pro machine, we have studio quality microphones and high fidelity speakers. The Air doesn't have any studio quality microphones and in fact has 2 less speakers than the Pro. Let me take a quick video for you guys so you can hear for yourself. All right, so this is the microphone and camera quality test on the M2 MacBook Pro 14-inch. Still trying to get the naming down, but this is the MacBook with the studio quality microphone, so you guys can tell me how it sounds. I think that the MacBook sounds really good in terms of its microphone capabilities, but let's compare it to the Air and you guys let me know if it's worth the extra $800 price difference. All right, so this is the camera and microphone test on the M2 MacBook Air. You guys let me know how it sounds. There are no studio quality microphones on here, but I would still say that the microphone sounds really good on the MacBook Air, probably not as clear as the Pro. I'm in a kind of light and dim environment, so I would also say that the camera is a little bit more grainy, but both are fairly capable in the camera and microphone department. Ragnarok. Now let's talk about specs. It's what you guys came here for. Maybe not, but if you're new to this channel, you discover that I'm not that big on benchmarks, albeit I had to prove something in a more recent video. I just want to put it out there that this video is going to be edited on my M1 MacBook Air. This 4K video shot on an iPhone and all the videos in the past year and a half have been edited on this M1 MacBook Air. If that is what you're going to be doing, trust me, the M2 Air is good enough. The Pro machine is really for professionals or businesses buying laptops for their employees. So you might be asking yourself, why don't I have a MacBook Pro as a YouTuber? And to be honest, it's just because this machine is really, really expensive, especially for what I can do with it. All right, now let's talk about specs. So we have M2 versus M2 Pro. And the best way to describe this comparison between the 2 chips is that you are M2, and then Mike Tyson is the M2 Pro. Now, don't get me wrong, you're great, you're fit, you got heart, but trust me, Mike Tyson is going to knock you out. Except you're going to make it to round 3 because you want to give him a good fight and also make a lot of money. Now, I'll show you benchmarks for informative purposes, but the reality is, no matter what I show you, the M2 Pro is simply a superior chip than the M2 in every shape and form. But I don't think it's going to be worth the extra $800. Do I think it's worth it? Not really. I mean, yes, within 5-10 minutes, the MacBook Air thermal throttles, but it still holds up very well in everyday tasks and even demanding tasks. That is because the MacBook Air doesn't have any fan, whereas the MacBook Pro has 2 fans. So I should also back up a little bit. So the MacBook Pro does have 2 fans, but the fans rarely spin anyway, simply because of how efficient the M series is for Apple. But the fans do keep the chip cool whenever things are going on for extended periods of time. So if there was a decent cooling solution in the MacBook Air, I think it would be a very compelling product, but you just have to keep in mind that the only thing cooling the Air is the air. So if the camera angle is a little bit weird, it's because this is the 3rd time I'm recording this because my phone storage ran out the first time, and then second time, I forgot to hit the record button. So I believe I was talking about specs, thermal throttling, performance between the 2. And overall, I just want to leave it off on this section saying, I don't want to deter you from the MacBook Air. If you aren't doing intensive stuff and you're just doing everyday tasks that can be done in the web browser, then trust me, the MacBook Air can do it. Even when you start dealing with programs like Photoshop, video editing, programming, the MacBook Air can do it. But if you're doing heavy tasks like bench level things on a day-to-day basis, like for instance, if you're exporting 3,000 photos in Lightroom or Photoshop, or editing 5 8K videos with a bunch of After Effects, or maybe you're running a simulation of the universe while running 20,000 AI algorithms in the background, then yeah, maybe the MacBook Pro is a better machine for you. Now, clearly I'm exaggerating. If you didn't know I was exaggerating, then I don't know, but you get my point. The MacBook Pro is for extended heavy tasks. Otherwise, the Air is still a very capable machine and a thin and light device. Now, two things I want to touch on because they are selling points that people are making for the MacBook Pro 14-inch, and that is Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.3. Now, I would argue unless you have gigabit internet or a really well laid out network, Wi-Fi 6E is kind of just Wi-Fi 6. Now, Bluetooth 5.3 versus 5.0, I still think it's a decent upgrade for the technicalities of the upgrades that it brings. But once again, don't think these two things should be a real decision maker when trying to decide between the MacBook Pro or the MacBook Air. I'm completely happy with just Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.0 in the MacBook Air. I should probably make a video on Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 6E because I feel like people are making this amazing thing, which it is. I'm not taking anything away from Wi-Fi 6E. It's just, don't think for everyday people it's going to be that big of a difference. So that pretty much wraps up this video between the M2 Air and the M2 Pro 14-inch, and I'll leave you with some recommended specs. Now, this right here is the base level M2 Air, and it's a great machine. Although I would say you should probably upgrade the RAM if you intend to pick this up for the long term. I typically tell people you are only allowed one upgrade on the Air machines. Any more and you're better off getting a discounted MacBook Pro. Trust me on that one. You can always get cloud storage, but if you want to deal with stuff locally, you can always get an external drive. But RAM is finite, and with more RAM, it will be better for you in the long term. Now, the M2 Pro. Upgrade this to your heart's content because there's nothing else Apple offers in a laptop that is more powerful other than the 16-inch. I'd say if you're getting the M2 Max, probably want to sway yourself to getting the 16-inch with the better display, speakers, and cooling. But regardless, spec it out based on your needs. So hopefully you guys found this video informative. Hopefully my camera is not full and I'm actually recording and this comes out perfectly. But I appreciate every single sub, like, and comment. And as always, guys, much love. And yes, for people asking, this can play Minecraft and The Sims 4. Don't know why that's a highly requested thing.